Are you ready to embrace your slow life era and start finding more joy in the present? Hi, I'm Jennifer, productivity coach for the child-free business owners and creators. In a world that glorifies hustle, we tend to get caught up in stuffing the day with as many tasks as possible. We work from this task to that, and it's easy to forget to savor the moments in between that truly matter. As I dive further into my own slow life era, I'm making a conscious effort to take each day more at my own pace, savor the little moments, and absolutely prioritize my well-being. And you can too. In case you may or may not have heard this phrase, slow life, what is it? This is something that turns out I was already doing and didn't realize it until I saw this phrase start popping up around the pandemic. Since everyone was stuck inside, more and more people were reconnecting with meaningful hobbies they haven't done in a while, being out in nature more, and just reconnecting with themselves too. This gave everyone a lot more time to reflect, and then, of course, the sudden shift of so many more people working from home. So a lot of people were really able to reassess what was truly important to them. And being child free, of course, we didn't have to worry about the kids being home from school or anything like that. It allowed us more time to really have this extra sense of self-awareness during this time, hopefully. It did, at least for me. Hopefully it did for you as well. And this slow life also flowed into productivity for me as well by being more intentional about what task I was focused on and why, putting boundaries in place, figuring out how to build a business that worked for me, even when my chronic illness had bad flare up days. Basically, for me, a slow life is a more purposeful life that is sustainable. And there's a couple of quotes I love. Slow living is all about creating time and space and energy for the things that matter most to us in life. So ask yourself what you stand to gain. And that's by Brooke McAlary. And also be a creator of your life. Slowly cut things out until you're left with only the things of what you love, with what's necessary, with what makes you happy. And that's by Leo Babuta. I'm probably butchering the name. Hopefully I didn't. Of course, that's not to say not every little thing is going to be fun and life happens. It's impossible to be happy like all the time. I get that. But we'll be able to be happier more often than not, right? So here's 8 ways I've been embracing a slower, more meaningful, more mindful business and child-free lifestyle, and how you can too. Number one, savoring the mornings. You may have heard that mornings set the tone for the rest of the day, and I truly believe this part, but I am not one who's going to make you wake up at 5 a.m. to exercise and meditate and journal unless that is something you actually want to do. And if that does work for you, then more power to you. Go for it. That is not what works for me. What works for me now. It's just figuring out what you prefer. Instead of rushing and getting right to the computer whenever I get up, I take my time to enjoy my getting ready for the day process. Start the day with making myself some breakfast, nothing fancy, just whether it's a granola bar, yogurt, a breakfast casserole, an omelet, just something simple. I take my time brewing my cup of coffee or brewing my chai. And if I'm having more of a sluggish morning, sometimes I like to watch some of my favorite creators, and that pumps me up and gives me that extra inspiration for the day. And sometimes it's just music to pump me up, especially on the days when tend to be dragging. Savoring the mornings can also be like just savoring your coffee, savoring your breakfast. Step outside for a few minutes and just get some sunshine. And this can help set the tone for the rest of the day. And there's nothing like beginning your morning without the usual rush, especially when you don't have to and there's not someone screaming for you first thing in the morning. This also means being aware that if you do something in particular in the morning and it's harder to get into a groove. So for me, I'm super aware that if I go out to the coffee shop first thing instead of making it at home, I have a much harder time getting into the groove and it completely disrupts my morning. But when I don't leave the house first thing in the morning, create my coffee from home and do everything at home, it is so much easier for me to get into the flow and get focused. For you, just be aware of some simple things like that as well. And morning routine could mean no matter what time you wake up, really. Another way to enjoy your slow life is reconnecting with simple pleasures. It's funny how, as I've gotten older, that all the things I used to think were boring and not fun, well, they still might not be that fun now, but things like cooking dinner, going to the grocery store, just running errands, like just chilling, hanging out with a friend at home kind of thing. These simple little things. When I was younger, I used to think, oh, I had to be out and doing all this stuff to feel like I'm really doing something with my life. When now, as I'm pushing 40, like the simple pleasures for me is, a clean desk, clean, organized home. And I'll get more into that in a second. A really good meal, things like that. As we get so invested and passionate about our content and our business, we often overlook these simple pleasures that bring us joy. Two big ones for me is I've gotten back into reading. I used to read all the time when I was younger, and I don't know why I stopped, honestly. I know my reading genres have changed a lot over the years. That's a little bit to do with it, but I'd forgotten how much I just loved reading. And I don't mean nonfiction. I read nonfiction all the time, but I mean fiction. I hadn't read fiction since I was little until this year, really. And that's crazy for me to think about. There's just something incredibly soothing about losing myself in a good book or a game. It's so easy to overwork, no matter how fun it is to work on your business. I love that we're so passionate and have the time to work on our businesses like this, being child free. But at the same time, we've got to be able to take a step back and slow down, reflect, and recharge. And for me, these are like my little escapes, moments of peace amongst all the chaos in the world. And because we don't have kids, this is so much easier to have. Another way to enjoy your slow life is spending more time in nature. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the elevation of the mountains or being living in a smaller town that's not in the city, but just being near nature has this amazing way of grounding us and bringing us back to the present. Whether it's a leisurely walk in the park, tending to your plants, or just simply sitting outside with a good book and soaking in the fresh air. Spending any amount of time in nature is such a key part of the slow life era. It's this gentle reminder to appreciate the beauty around us, listen to the birds, listen to the breeze, just breathe deeply and live in the moment. Since I don't really tolerate heat well, especially here in the summer, it's been very difficult to be outside, and I am inside a lot more. So I have to be extra careful. But during the cooler mornings and evenings, I'm able to get out as much as my body will let me without overdoing it. If you're not already out in nature very much, highly recommend like finding a green space near you and just being there. Fill your house with plants. Somehow I've kept this plant alive for over a year now. So I feel like I am officially not a black thumb anymore just because of this one plant. But if you're much better about keeping plants alive, enjoy gardening, that's a great reason to be out in nature, be out in the sun, play in the dirt. Try to go up the mountain as much as possible. If I'm not able to go up the mountain, Then I just cruise on over to one of my local parks. They've been improved a lot lately, so that's been a lot of fun. Just even if I don't feel like I'm unable to really walk around, I just find a table and people watch, just relax, take a book, just any excuse to get out in nature. Another way to enjoy your slow life is choosing moments of calm over chaos. In a society that glorifies this busyness, choosing calm can be a radical act. I mean, you're child free already. What's one more thing that goes against societal expectations, right? I make a conscious effort to incorporate moments of calm in my day, whether it's enjoying my favorite coffee that week, taking a nap, or just simply sitting quietly for a few minutes, sitting on the floor, spending time with my pet rabbit, just watching her be cute, sleeping, or playing with her. Because when you're completely overwhelmed, even though it feels like you've got so much to do, sometimes the best thing to do is just take a step back, decompress, clear your head, and then go back to whatever it was. And that way, when your head's more clear, you'll be able to focus better and you'll think and see things differently because you're not in like fight or flight mode so bad. You've been able to calm your brain down some. Hell, sometimes you might even need a good cry if that's needed. It certainly helps me sometimes. Small moments are my way of reclaiming my peace and balance, saying no to the chaos and yes to the tranquility as much as possible. And the best part, you can do it anytime and anywhere. Another way that's super important for your slow life era is prioritizing mental and physical well-being. Well-being is at the heart of a slow life. For me, that means resting as needed, going to behavioral therapy, again, being in nature because of that grounding effect it tends to have. And also for me, tapping, the tapping the head thing. I forget the abbreviation for it. If you remember, let me know. But tapping, that helps calm my nervous system. These practices not only keep me physically active, but also help to calm my mind and center my thoughts, especially when there's so much coming at you online and in person and just everything going on in the world. It's so important to take care of your mental and physical well-being. And that ensures that you've got the energy and the clarity to actually enjoy life fully, no matter what's going on. It's about creating that harmonious balance between your mind, body, and spirit. And it's something I encourage everyone to explore. But find the things that work for you. Another way that you can help your slow life is creating a sanctuary at home and in your office. It's amazing how much your environment plays such a significant role on how you feel. Over the years, I've made it a priority to create a home and office space that feels like a sanctuary. That includes decluttering. I even purged 80% of my stuff at one point, getting super organized. Sometimes this takes a little bit of trial and error, but once it's organized, labeled, color coded, whatever's needed, it helps tremendously. I love cooler weather, so I love having cozier elements through year round, especially since we like to keep the house between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, especially on these 97-degree days. Adding cozy elements like fluffy blankets, a cozy hoodie, some deliciously smelling candles, having natural lighting. And of course, you got to have comfortable seating, whether it's at your desk, your couch. It's just all about being cozy no matter where you are. And add your personal touches, whether that's photos or art that you love, whether it's sculptures or paintings, anything. For me, I like having gaming pops in some places. I don't like having them on my shelf behind me, but I keep looking up because I see them on a shelf in my closet in front of me. So I have that because it's just the little things that make me happy. Like I've got a pop Grogu and the female Fallout, not from the TV series, but from the game itself. Just a female version of a Vault Boy, or anything you find on your travels, or just anything that inspires you. Ultimately, you want to create spaces that inspire you, help you relax, and are super comfortable. And a peaceful, inspiring home environment supports a slower, more mindful lifestyle. Your home should be your haven, a place where you can unwind and truly be yourself, not someplace you want to escape, right? Number 7, embracing holistic and sustainable productivity. One of the key aspects of my slow life era is embracing the holistic and sustainable productivity. And over the years, I've come to realize this is the style of productivity that I tend to teach clients. I didn't realize what it was at first. I just knew it was different than what everyone kept saying out there, and turns out that's what it was. This means focusing on quality over quantity, setting realistic goals. They're still challenging, but they're not so crazy that if you never reach it, you feel miserable. And finding your version of balance between work and life. It's all about being productive in a way that feels good without burning out. Imagine achieving your goals with all the stress and exhaustion because you know the important things to focus on, and you create that space in the structure that allows for your life to happen. You got to have that flexibility. It's so possible and incredibly rewarding, and being child-free makes it all the more easier to create. This is also things like putting boundaries in place, only saying yes to things and people who are aligned with your goals and especially your values. And all of these things, what it really comes down to is finding joy in the present. Ultimately, the slow life is about finding joy in the present moment. It's about appreciating the little things, taking time for ourselves, and creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. As I continue this journey, I'm so excited to see how these changes will continue to enrich my life and bring me more calm and joy as I get older. I hope you join me on this journey, finding your own ways to slow down and savor life, to be more purposeful and intentional, so you have a more sustainable life and business. If you're ready to embrace your slow life era, I'd love to hear about your experience and steps you're taking to slow down and savor life in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to live more mindfully. And to help you get started, be sure to join the email list and grab your income generating daily checklist to get started. And I'll link that down below. And if you'd like more inspiration and tips on holistic and sustainable productivity, mindful child-free living, then be sure to follow me on Instagram at Productively Child-Free and subscribe here on YouTube. And be sure to check out this video next.